Hi guys, what's up? It's Will here once again. We're here for UFC 255. Figueiredo against Perez is her headlining fight for this card, with Valentina Shevchenko looking to defend her title once again in the co-main event of a card that's taken a few hits. This was originally supposed to be Cody Garbrandt. There was supposed to be Robbie Lawler on this card, so he's took a couple of hits, and they've tried to get a couple of people to come in here to kind of make the card a little bit better. Tim Means coming in, which is a decent fight against Mike Perry. So yeah, kind of looking forward to kind of talking through some of these fights here. I think there's some decent spots for some bets this week. I've already got one, and I've got a couple of other ones looked out a little bit. So yeah, before I get into talking about the fights there, just a massive thank you to everybody that shows support week in and week out. It's always appreciated. And just a massive thank you, to everybody. Thank you very much. Week in, week out, there's always people in the comments there. Good, whether it's bad, you start getting your point across, and you're getting your picks out there for me to look at and see who you're going for and stuff like that. So much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button here. And we're still trying to get to 4,000. We've got like another 6 weeks to get like 70 or 80. I think it's 70 more subs. So help a brother out if you can. That'd be much appreciated. And like I said last week, I'm going to try and get this out, the timestamps for you, because a couple of guys were like, you've got no timestamps when they were there. The ads, I'm going to work on them as soon as I wake up in the morning. So if there's ads quite a lot early on, I'm going to get that rectified for you, don't worry. But I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. So let's get into this fight card. We're starting off in the welterweight division. Two newcomers to the UFC, one that we've kind of seen in the Dana White Contender Series, and just a new guy altogether fighting out of Hong Kong, which might be a first for the UFC. So we've got Lewis Cosce 7-0 against Sasha Palaknikov at 5-2, who I think was originally out of. What's up, Adam? I see you there, brother. I think he was originally from Vegas, and then he made his way out to kind of Hong Kong a few years ago, and kind of been fighting on the scenes out there. And like I say, he's garnered a 5-2 record. And I know he's got in here. I know his manager is a very good manager within there, so he's managed to get him in here. Fought in the kind of Middle East in the UAE Warrior scene, which is a scene which is a lot of fighters are going through there. They're making their way into the Dana White Contender Series, winning fights through there, and they're making their way into the UFC now. When I look at him, I think that I watched the Munir Laziz fight. Laziz is a guy that's very recognisable in the UFC after that win over Abdul Razak Al Hassan, coming out of the Middle East himself, representing Dubai, I think it was. So, or Abu Dhabi, it might have been. He might have been completely local to that spot in the world. But when I watch Palaknikov, aggressive, but I think that his striking's okay. But I think there is holes in his game that someone like Lewis Cosce could absolutely take advantage of here, and kind of doing a few things here. When you watch Cosce, I actually think he's got the higher ceiling of the two brothers. His brother was supposed to fight in this card, fell out of this one here. He was supposed to fight Nicolas Dalby, but or it might have been this guy here actually. I think it might have been Lewis that was supposed to fight Dalby. No, it wasn't, because he was fighting D-Rod. Yeah, so I've got that wrong there. But when I watch Palaknikov, nothing really stands out. And like I said, I do think there's a really good opportunity for Cosce to come in here. But when you watch Cosce, I mean, who he fought outside the UFC is absolutely kind of laughable. There's not too much out there on him, being honest. I picked against him on the Dana White Contender Series. I thought Victor Reina was going to give him a really tough spot, and he blasted through him in the first round there. He does a little bit of cross training at Team Alpha Male. That's always good to get different looks there. I think it's a really good spot. Predict Seattle and Arizona. I'm not going against. I actually think Seattle needs a big win here. So, but yeah, Arizona needs to win. But yeah, I think I'm going to take Lewis Cosce. I've actually got him in a bet in here with. Who have I got him in there with a bet? I cannot remember. Oh yeah, actually the next guy up. So we'll kind of through that. What I've got this here is the fight not to go the distance. And I actually kind of messed up in this one a little bit, because I could have got him by KO or sub at like minus 188 instead of got him at like 275, fight not to go the distance. So that was a little bit of a bummer. I kind of noticed that after I put the bet on, which sucked. But I think he can blast double leg this guy. I think he can use that. I think the athleticism that he has will just be a little bit too for Palaknikov, and I think the power that he's got with his ground and pound, he will pound out Palaknikov in that spot there. So I've got Lewis Cosce. I've got him fairly comfortably winning this fight inside the first 2 rounds. Probably going to be a big kind of DraftKings kind of play for me, and I'll be playing a lot more DraftKings after kind of winning an NFL GPP last week, which was nice. A nice little hit for myself, and nearly took out another one, which would have been an extra couple of $1,000, but unfortunately just missed out on that. But I'm going to take Lewis Cosce in that one there. Kyle Daukaus against Dustin Stolzfus. Good fight, close fight. Daukaus really impressed me in his fight against Brendan Allen. Got through in there right in the kind of deep end with probably a top 20 guy in that middleweight division. Obviously took a hard L last week to Sean Strickland, who is a very good fighter. Really good fighter with a lot of aspirations to move himself up into that top 15, which I don't think he'll be far away from. Very aggressive off his back, good striking. Obviously his brother fights in the UFC as well. I think he's very dangerous on the ground, but when I look at Stolzfus, he's a very good wrestler, and he's obviously coming off winning the Dana White Contender Series, where that was a kind of freak injury what happened in that fight there. And he's one of these guys that can lay on you for large parts of the fight there, and that's a little bit worrying if he gets it here. But Daukaus is so active off his back, and he's just so squirmy. He's not a guy that you can really hold down for long parts. He will find a way up to the ground, and he's very aggressive on his feet as well. So Stolzfus, to me, I mean, he's came through the kind of German regional scene. I think he was originally from Pennsylvania, and he's moved out to, he's been in and around the kind of German scene there, fighting at GMC and We Love MMA. I think it's the promotions out there that he's been fighting, and he's not been fighting the greatest opposition. Jonas Bilstein's not a bad win in his record, who's a guy that was in the Cage Warriors and won the title over there, the middleweight title. But I like Kyle Daukaus in this one. I think I got him at -200. I parlayed him up with Lewis Cosce. The fight doesn't go the distance, and I got around, I think it was +103 on that. So I put a sizable kind of couple of units on that. I think that he could catch a submission in the large part of this. I do think he will get taken down. I think Stolzfus will have a little bit of early on in the fight. I think he can get the fight down there. I think he can hold position a little bit, but eventually I think Daukaus will catch him with a submission and sub him in the middle part of this fight. Alan Jouban against Jared Gooden is next up here. Really happy to see Jared Gooden make his way into the UFC. He's a guy that's, I mean, he's got a lot of experience, over 20 fights. He's been calling it into the UFC for the last probably 18 months. He's a guy that's been sponsored by good friends over at Half the Battle. Shout out to Mr. Dan Levy and Shaq over there, one of my go-tos to listen on Fight Week. Good friends of mine over there. They've helped out this guy. I know on the MMA Huddle podcast with John, Jared's had interviews on there, and he's got his opportunity here. He's like I say, he's not fought the greatest of competition, but he's did what he has to do. He beat these guys up, knocked them out, got stoppages, and got himself in there. And he's coming off that win over Trent McCowan at Titan there, where he really just bullied him against the cage and really just beat him up badly and knocked him out in the second round with strikes there. Very athletic, very powerful, can blast in for double legs. And I think in this spot here, I think he's in a really good spot to kind of fight a named guy in Alan Jouban, who I think's got one foot out the door. And he's not young anymore. Not a young guy anymore. A lot of injuries. He's had a lot of surgeries. He's been doing some TV work for the UFC. I actually think he's fairly decent at that. And he's not looked. I don't think he's looked great in his last few fights. Coming off that loss to Dwight Grant there, where he got hit with some big power shots, got stiffened up a little bit, but lost a pretty close split. Last win was against Ben Saunders away back in 2018, nearly like 3 years ago, nearly. And I don't like his durability of his chin. I think he can be hit, but I am also a little bit worried in this fight that Jared might maybe, I don't want to say gas out. I think he might maybe get a bit too excited, maybe chase the finish, that he might kind of deplete himself a little bit, and this could open up Alan Jouban to maybe make these rounds close. I'm on the Jared Gooden side. I'd rather take a shot in the dog here. I think that he's a lot more hungry with it than what Alan Jouban is at the minute. I think that he really wants this, and like I said, I'm not sure what Jouban really is. Does he really need to continue fighting? He's got some irons in the fire with fighting and with working with the UFC and other things as well. But like I say, these guys like to fight, so I might be kind of misreading that a little bit. But I am a little bit worried here that I was thinking, right, can I bet Jared Gooden? And I think I might, depending where the line goes, because the line's like plus 130, plus 140 in that spot. And I think that he does match up well with, on striking wise, with than what Jouban has. On the ground, I think Jared's got a brown belt. You've got a 10th planet guy in Alan Jouban, so he maybe has a little bit of advantage, but I wouldn't say he probably has all too much. But I'm going to pick Jared Gooden. I'm actually going to pick him via knockout. I think he catches him with a big shot there and takes him out in the middle part of this fight. Nicolas Dalby against Daniel Rodriguez. This betting line, let me just bring this up. I looked at this earlier on and I'm thinking that betting line's fairly high. Like minus 310 on Daniel Rodriguez to me is super high. I don't understand. I can see him as a favourite, but minus 300 favourite? I don't like that at all. I think he came through a really tough encounter last time, did Daniel Rodriguez, where he got hit with some big power shots against Dwight Grant, where he got the win there. Like, he knocked him out in the first round, but he took some big shots in that one as well. But I've been impressed with him in his UFC tenure. I mean, he took some big shots in the Gabe Green fight as well. So he is a little bit open. I do like his big, long left-hand shot. He uses it very well. He uses kicks very well. He's just very dangerous in a lot of aspects. Then you've got someone like Nicolas Dalby, who I think he will look to kind of grind this fight out if he's going to do it. I don't think he can stand and trade bombs with someone like Daniel Rodriguez. I think if he does, then he's kind of asking to be hit with that left hand. It could really hurt me. He goes to the body, goes up top, uses he doesn't really have the best footwork, this Rodriguez, but when he plants it and he throws with that left hand, he can absolutely crack with it. And we've seen that. I mean, Dalby got knocked out senseless. He got knocked down and then choked out senseless by Jesse Ronson there, where I think he was expecting too much with the submission guy, and that's actually been turned to a no contest, I believe, that fight with Jesse Ronson, because he popped for steroids, I believe it was, and he's got himself a 2-year ban, which is not a good look. I think Nicolas's best spot here is to try and tie Daniel Rodriguez up. I want to say Rodriguez is actually a fairly high black belt in jiu-jitsu. I don't like the betting line. I do like Daniel Rodriguez to win the fight, though. Dalby fighting in America for the first time. I kind of think he is on the tail end of his career. I thought him getting back to the UFC was a massive accomplishment. And then he got that win over Alex Oliveira, which was a very kind of close. There was a couple of things with the ref there, being in Copenhagen. I mean, yeah, I was. He got that UFC win. That's enough to say. I like Rodriguez in this spot. I think that he's got a bit too much power, and I think that eventually he could catch Dalby and really hurt him and maybe take him out. But Dalby's tough. Dalby's tough. So I'm going to take Daniel Rodriguez for the win there. This is one I've really been. I don't understand why I'm going back and forth. I've been thinking a lot about this fight, even though I really shouldn't. Antonina Shevchenko against Ariane Lipski. Not a fight I've got a lot of. Not a fight that's kind of I'm invested in, but I'm just struggling to kind of pick a side here. I'm thinking, do I pick the dog side? Do I pick Antonina? Antonina's shown she's got big gaps in some of her spot with some of the with her game. Like, she can be taken down, she can be controlled. She's got little off her back. Once it's down there, she doesn't really move into a position where she gets back to her feet, which is not a good look at all. Lipski's coming off 2 wins where she got that suspect knee bar against Luana Carolina last time. And I think Lipski can look for takedowns. I've only seen it on 2 occasions where she has got takedowns in fights. There was one in KSW there where she got a takedown on that one, and then she got a couple of takedowns in the Luana Carolina fight. I think she got one against Jojo, if I remember off the top of my head, but she also got taken down. She kind of got controlled a little bit in that spot. Now, I'm not saying Antonina's going to do that. I think if I'm Lipski, I look to grapple. I think she's got some jiu-jitsu that could cause problems for Shevchenko. On the feet, I think you've got the very technical Shevchenko against Lipski, who has power, but she gets hit a lot. She absorbs a lot of strikes, and I think Antonina could, if she keeps using the feet, she's going to just run kind of rings round her, in my opinion. And not unless Lipski hits her with a big shot, then I think that Antonina can just be the aggressor on the feet, land more, and if she keeps it standing, she wins this fight. So initially I was on Lipski, and I feel like I should be taking a little bit of shot on it, but I've got no confidence in it. So I'm going to take Antonina Shevchenko. Not that I'm confident that she wins the fight comfortably, but I think she has more of a chance to do so if it stays on the feet for the majority of the fight, if you know what I mean. So, and surely she must be trained to get that takedown defense better. Like, she's with Valentina, I know they go to different gyms and so on. Surely that she's been making improvements in that, but she's a bona fide striker, and she's like 35, 36 years old, so she's not a young cat anymore, and maybe she just doesn't want to learn stuff like that. But yeah, I'm going to take Shevchenko. Joaquin Buckley against Jordan Wright. This betting line again is sky high. Like, you've got nearly, what is it, minus 275, minus 300 in Buckley, and that's crazy to me. Obviously coming off that big knockout of Impa Kasanganay, which will probably be the knockout of the year. But if he doesn't win that fight, there's no way that this betting line is even as inflated as that. And Jordan Wright, it might be kind of a pick'em with a lean in either side here. But Jordan Wright, I'm not impressed with what I see from him. I mean, he beat Ike Villanueva. I think he's got some good tools there to kind of use and maybe work his way into the UFC. Got a good opponent there in his UFC debut, kind of blown up kind of light heavyweight. But now he's moving down to 185. We have seen him knocked out in the Dana White Contender Series. A guy that's went through Jackson Winks. I mean, long, he will mix up. I do like his nickname. I do like the whole Beverly Hills thing. I think that's pretty fun. But nah, I think there's also that all the talk about Joaquin Buckley with like him being a bit of a dick in camps and like going too hard and sparring and being kicked out of a lot of gyms and so on. I remember James Krause talking about that after the last fight there. But he's obviously got some big power with his strikes, a lot of diversity with his strikes. I don't think he's got all that much power with his hands. I don't see big deafening power with his hands, but you can see he's a jack dude. If he plants those feet or he gets into position to land a big shot, and then someone like Jordan Wright, who's not fought the best competition, he kind of he's got the tall man defense, can be hit a little bit. Someone like Buckley could get in, rain some shots on him and put him down. I'm not really impressed by what I see from Wright. I never really have been. There was a little bit of hype. I remember a couple of years back, and like I say, he's not fought the greatest of opponents out in the regionals. I'm going to take Joaquin Buckley. I know there's some people taking shots on Jordan Wright. I wish you the best in that. I just don't. I'd rather not have any money in this fight at all, actually. Just kind of sit back and watch and see if Buckley's maybe made some improvements. Is Wright moving to a new camp? I don't think he's went to Jackson Winks. How much of a change he's made in his game. So I'm going to take Joaquin Buckley to win that fight there. Great fight here. They've got one of the backups for the... They've got two flyweight fights in this one here, just in case any of the main events kind of fall through. You've got this one here, Brandon Moreno against Brandon Royval. I mean, what a tough fight for me to pick. And there's another one I've been going back and forward on here. Brandon Royval's come in and looked absolutely sensational in his 2 UFC fights. Cannot take anything away from that guy at all. Felt I was a little bit of a stupid not picking him against Tim Elliott, because I thought that obviously you seen what Tim Elliott did, was taking him down, was controlling him a little bit, but Brandon's so scrappy. He gets himself back to his feet, and he's just dangerous in every aspect. And you've seen that in his 2 fights there, where he's super aggressive in all aspects. No matter if he's on his back, if he's being controlled, he will throw up submissions. If he's in the clinch, he will throw knees, he will throw spins in there, try and hit you with elbows. Did that with Kai Kara-France, ate a shot, got put down, got back to his feet, threw a spinning elbow, absolutely nailed Kai Kara-France there. And then if you give this guy the opportunity to get hands on you and around your neck, or get on your back and control you, you could be in a lot of trouble with this guy. A dangerous southpaw striker. In some spots, he is aggressive, but he comes forward with his hands down, he can be caught. But he's willing to get in there and throw down and throw a lot of strikes, a lot of funky stuff, and it doesn't take much to catch you with that or throw you off, where you could be diving in for takedowns and he could grab a neck on you. Initially I was on him here, then I've kind of started to change my tune a little bit and moved over to the Brandon Moreno side, where I don't know. I just think Brandon, since he's came back, he's looked a far better fight. I thought the Askarov fight, I thought he deserved to kind of lose that fight. Actually, I thought he kind of got a little bit lucky to come out there with a draw, him being in Mexico and so on. But his last two fights, he's looked composed. I bet him against Kai Kara France. I thought he looked great in that fight. That was predominantly a stand-up fight where his striking, you could see, was making gains there. I like that. Then he had the Juicy Formiga fight there, who's one of the hardest guys in the division to face. Actually not in the UFC anymore. They cut him this week, which is a little bit surprised there. But he just fought a smart game plan, didn't throw in bunches, just picked his shots well, and kind of stopped the takedowns predominantly in that fight from Formiga, and won a decision in that one. So how I see this fight going, Royval's going to... The thing is with this fight as well, Royval's been in the gym, he quit his job, he's won some bonuses, he's went over there, he's given him a lot of money, he's like investing in himself, in his gym there, and he's going to be making strides, so I'm really interested to see him there. But I just think Moreno, I think he can maybe... I watched the Casey Kenny fight where he got taken down in that one and got controlled a little bit, and I think Moreno can actually have a kind of game plan pretty similar to what Casey Kenny has. I think on the feet he's very dangerous as well. He can throw. I think his striking's got better kind of throughout the years, especially in his UFC tenure here. He picks his shots better, and I do think he can get takedowns on the aggressive Royval. Of course, he needs to be very, very careful where he's putting his head or what he's doing. But I like Moreno in this one. Like I said, earlier on in the week, if you asked me on Monday, I was on Royval. Actually, yesterday I was still on Royval, and I watched a little bit more Moreno, and I'm just thinking the value... I still think there's value in Royval, but I think that Moreno has got enough about him here to win this fight. So I'm going to pick Brandon Moreno for the W there in that one. So we're moving on to the main card now. We've got a rematch here. We've got Mauricio Shogun Rua against Paul Craig. I'm picking Paul Craig in the rematch here. I thought that he actually fought a really good fight the first time around. I think he surprised Shogun Rua a little bit, and I've just not liked what I've seen from Shogun Rua in his last couple of fights. I mean, his durability is definitely gone. He's always dangerous. You're always going to be like super... you have to be on your A game with this guy because he can still throw some big powerful shots and hurt you. But you watch the Nog fight there, he was getting hit with some shots. He couldn't even see them coming, and then was just getting hit, and he was wobbled, and then he got in and went and got some takedowns, which was what he needed to do in that spot, and came through there with a split decision. I think he's on the tail end of his career. I think that Paul Craig, still fairly new to the sport. He's been around for 4, 5, 6 years within the sport, and I know he's making gains with everything in there, with his striking. We know how dangerous jiu-jitsu is. And like I say, we're not in Brazil here, so I think Paul Craig deserved to win the fight the first time around here. I've not heard too much from Paul Craig, and like I usually hear from the Scottish fighters and ask how things are going, and hear from some people in the camp that I know. But it's with everything that's been going on, it's been pretty non-existent, pretty not that many people around. So I don't know what he's been working on. I don't know if he's been anywhere to kind of work in anything. I doubt that, but I think he can take out Shogun Rua here, and this would be a big feather in his cap if he could do it. So I'm going to take Paul Craig. I'm going to take him to submit him late round 2, maybe early round 3. But if he starts to gas and maybe gives Shogun some encouragement, it could turn out to be a very, very close decision again. I just think I'd rather pick Paul Craig in this spot here, and I wish him all the best because it'd be a big feather in his cap to have a win over a legend like Shogun Rua in that spot. Katlyn Chookagian against Cynthia Calvillo. I'm on Cynthia Calvillo here. I thought she looked amazing in her last fight against Jessica. She looked like this was the division for her. She wasn't killing herself to go down to 115. She looked healthy. She looked better in her stand-up. She really kind of... I don't want to say she mixed it in too much because she never really established many takedowns in that fight, but she just looked good in a lot of aspects of that there. I think she got like 3 or maybe 4 takedowns actually in that fight, so maybe we're thinking that. But she had a high output, a lot of strikes down there, and when you can mix that in with takedowns, you can win the fight through that. And then you've got Chookagian there who's coming off a horrible knockout against Jessica Andrade. She got smashed to the liver, and you know, like that little tank in Andrade can do that there. The thing that I've not been liking in this at all is just her coming out and saying she's not going to be in the sport that much longer. She wants to start a family. Once she starts that family, she's completely done with that. And that to me is like one foot out the door. But she's got a lot of advantages in this fight here for the simple reason she's on her feet. She's always on the move. Fights long. She's got a significant reach advantage, big height advantage. She's got a jiu-jitsu game that I think she's a black belt or a high brown belt under Ricardo Almeida. I believe it is as well. And she's a decent overall fighter. She lands at a decent rate, doesn't absorb a hell of a lot. But her takedown defense isn't great. It's like a 48% takedown defense, which I don't think's particularly great. And then you've got someone like Calvillo who can look to get it to the ground, and once she gets to there, she's very, very dangerous. She can hold positions well. So I can just see Calvillo getting maybe opportunistic takedowns in this fight here and winning close rounds through that. So I've got Cynthia Calvillo for the W there. Moving on, we have got Mike Perry against Tim Means here. I mean, Mike Perry, what can you say about the guy? I think he's a train wreck. I honestly think the UFC, it wouldn't be a bad thing maybe getting rid of someone like Mike Perry. And I don't think it would be a bad thing for him to actually go to maybe other promotions where I think that he might be able to make a little bit more money. But I think he's such a loose cannon. Like, he's gonna have the girlfriend in the corner here. I don't think he looked great against Mickey Gall last time out. He's like knocking out old men and shouting like racist obscenities to people out in the kind of real world there. There's obviously the stuff with his girlfriend, which is not a good look, but you can't really take too much of that because, like I say, we weren't there. So they've obviously split up. He's went and got this girl pregnant, and she's maybe just spitting off some of that there to kind of get back at Mike a little bit. But would it surprise me if he did some things to females? No, it wouldn't, honestly, just by the way he is. But when it comes to a fighting style, the guy's a lot of fun to watch because he's kind of do or die, can take a hell of a lot of damage. But I've never really rated the guy, honestly. I was picking against him against Hyung-Gu Lim when he came in. I watched that regional footage where he got knocked out senseless. But he is super aggressive, and if you get in his face and you give him the opportunity to land some big shots, and especially with Tim Means, who I think his durability has definitely went downhill a little bit, absorbs a lot more shots. I think one shot could stop this fight here, but he is going to have advantage with the length. I think he's got a little bit more variety with his strikes. I think that he could possibly take the fight to the ground a little bit if he wanted to and maybe hang out there, but we have seen, I've kind of watched a couple of jiu-jitsu fights with jiu-jitsu matches with Mike Perry, and he's not like a fish out of water down there either. But I've just got so many question marks with Mike Perry, like where's he training? I think he might be in Texas. Who's he sparring with? Who's actually coaching him? Having the girlfriend in the corner. I mean, it's just high drama with Mike Perry. Maybe that's the life he kind of likes to lead. I was looking at the Tim Means fight there, or actually an interview earlier on there, where he seems to have a significant cut in between his eyebrows there, which obviously means he's kind of been going hard there, coming off a good win over Staropoli before getting kind of submitted in that fight with Daniel Rodriguez. And like I say, he is a very fun fighter, very aggressive, so he could give Mike Perry the opportunity to hurt him pretty much. So yeah, but my lean's on Tim Means here. I'm thinking about betting him the line that he's at. I think that if he can initially get through the early part and not absorb too much, I think he can win close rounds. So I've got Tim Means to win that fight there. Valentina Shevchenko against Jennifer Maia. I mean, I'm picking Valentina in this spot. I've just been wondering what's the best bet actually for Valentina in this spot. And I actually I'm thinking about putting in a parlay where the fight starts round 2 is like minus 300. I think I could find a parlay piece to put her with that, or maybe even over the 2.5 rounds, which I can't remember the line off my top of my head. It might not be too bad, but she's got every kind of advantage in this fight here, in my opinion. Jennifer Maia's coming off that win over Joanne Calderwood there, where Jojo stupidly, she should have sat out and waited for the Valentina fight because she probably will never get that opportunity ever again. got caught with a submission. It's just a typical kind of JoJo getting caught and kind of losing a big opportunity there. So I've been thinking here, I was looking at some bets like Valentina in the first 3 rounds was minus 138. I was kind of liking that, but honestly, I don't really want any part in really betting this fight. Maybe fight starts round 2 is maybe the bet I would play at minus 300, but and parlay that up with something. But Valentina Shevchenko, to me, I think she's levels above Jennifer Maia. She's levels above lots of people in this division, and I think Jennifer Maia will be like a deer in headlights here. She'll get beat up in the feet. She can get dominated wherever this fight goes, in my opinion. So I'm going to take Valentina in that one. No surprise there. Deiveson Fifueiredo against Alex Perez is the main event. Really good fight, an interesting fight to me, and I've actually bet Deiveson Fifueiredo already, so the pick is going to be Deiveson. But I think that Alex Perez can give him some problems. I really do. But I've been loving what I'm hearing from Deiveson Fifueiredo with getting a nutritionist. He's lighter than he's ever been, so he was saying he comes into fight week usually at 143, and he's been coming in at 136. At least yesterday he was 136, which is like a great sign that he's putting more time into refining his weight cut, being a bit more professional about it, being the champion that he now is. And inside the cage, the guy is just an absolute savage in there. He really is. He is dangerous at every time he throws a big shot. And I think that Perez, I mean, the one fight I faded Deiveson Fifueiredo in is the Juicy Formiga one. I actually bet Juicy Formiga at dog odds in that one there. And I just thought that his over-aggressiveness would really hurt him in some spots and fights. And he did that against Formiga. And against Formiga, you can't do that because he will take the back and pretty much just back you for the rest of the fight there. And he lost that one. But the confidence in this guy, I mean, the confidence that you could see that. I mean, he absolutely ran through Joseph Benavidez. I know there was the first fight, there was the uncertainty of everything, but the second one, that finish was nasty. A really, really nasty finish there. One of my favourite fights to watch is Deiveson. I think he's a little savage in there. Alex Perez, I think there's a big fight for the whole Dana White Contender Series. You've got a guy that came through that show, is now fighting for a world title, so that's a big plus there. And the guy's definitely got some spots here where he could hurt Deiveson Fifueiredo, in my opinion. I think he can take him down. Whether he keeps him there is a different thing. I think on the feet he has some good striking. I don't think he'll want to stand and trade with someone like Deiveson, because I think for one punch power, I think Deiveson maybe has that, where Alex will be a combination of shots. Great low kicks, great timing on takedowns. But in my opinion, when he's had the big step up to fight Joseph Benavidez, I thought he flopped a little bit in that fight. I thought that, I didn't like him in that fight at all. I thought, and that's why I bet Benavidez in that spot. He was an underdog, which really surprised me in that spot. Beat Formiga. Anytime you beat Formiga, it's a great win in your record, because and especially the way he did it, he absolutely demobilised him with low kicks in that first round. 4 minutes in, Formiga was done. He wanted no more of that Perez low kick. But like I said, I think I picked Figueiredo. I've already said that. I've got him parlayed up with a couple of guys from Bellator, with Joey Davis and AJ McKee, and I've got plus money for that there. I do like that bet. I think it's a solid parlay. I hope AJ McKee's got a step up against a good guy in Darren Caldwell. But I think initially, I think Perez will get a couple of takedowns. I don't think he'll keep the fight there. But I think the longer this fight goes on, I think Figueiredo's just, his raw aggressiveness will come into the fore, and he will start to hurt someone like Perez, who I think will start to tail off a little bit. And I think when Figueiredo kind of smells blood, he's such a tough guy. He's super strong, in your face, doesn't let you really pivot off anywhere. He can pin you against the cage, hurt you. He can hurt you out in the open. I just think this is a good spot for him. I was really interested to see the Cody Garbrandt fight. Obviously, being a big Cody fan, I was looking forward to that. But I would have probably been on the Deiveson Figueiredo side in that one, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm going to pick Deiveson Figueiredo. I think I'm going to pick him. I think a bet I might look at is rounds 4, 5, or by decision for Deiveson Figueiredo. I think that's something I have to look at and see what the line is. So yeah, I'm going to pick him for the win there. So that's my picks there. Been going back and forth on a couple of dogs that I like, but ultimately I'm going to stay away. Thank you to everybody that's been in the chat there. To everybody that's given me a thumbs up, it's much appreciated. If there's anyone there that can throw a late thumbs up, it'd be much appreciated. We'll be back next week for Derek Lewis against Carl Curtis Blades. We've got Rafael Fiziev against Rafael Renato Maicano. So yeah, thank you everybody. All the very, very best. Take care. Hope you win your bets. Hope you win your DraftKings games this week. All the very, very best. Take care. I'll be back next week. Cheers.